5:25 p.m., May 13, 2018, John Smith's Stadium, Huddersfield. Arsene Wenger emerges from the dressing room under the main stand flanked by a press officer. He is led quietly down a number of narrow, whitewashed corridors featuring framed pictures of rugby league players and one of John Bon Jovi, who have all performed at this multi-purpose venue. They follow laminated, blue and white signs which read "Press this way" before entering an open-plan room with a muted television on the wall on which Sky Sports News is listing the day's results. Wenger takes a seat on the stage and then takes questions from the assembled media for the final time as Arsenal manager. It is an underwhelming end to an underwhelming campaign. As always, there is intellect and humor, but, as one of the greatest figures the Premier League has seen heads out towards the waiting coach, signing autographs for the couple of fans who linger after every game as he goes, there is a nagging feeling of anticlimax. The coach crawls out of the car park, past the abandoned, overgrown driving range before turning in the direction of Barnsley and the M1. That, monsieur, is that or 11:30 p.m., May 16, 2018, Parc Olympique Lyonnais, Lyon. Drenched in champagne, and with a medal glistening around his neck, Arsene Wenger strides into the press room at Lyon's modern home to flickering flashbulbs. 1997-98 UEFA Cup, first round. 1998-99 Champions League, Group Stage. 1999-2000 Champions League, Group Stage. 1999-2000 UEFA Cup, runners-up. 2001 Champions League, quarterfinals. 2001-02 Champions League, second group stage. 2002-03 Champions League, second group stage. 2003-04 Champions League, quarterfinals. 2004-05 Champions League, last 160. 2005-06 Champions League, runners-up. 2006-07 Champions League, last 160. 2007-08 Champions League, quarterfinal. 2008-09 Champions League, semi-final. 2009-10 Champions League, quarterfinal. 2010-11 Champions League, last 160. 2011-12 Champions League, last 160. 2012-13 Champions League, last 160. 2013-14 Champions League, last 160. 2014-15 Champions League, last 160. 2015-16 Champions League, last 160. 2016-17 Champions League, last 160. 2017-18 Europa League, semi-final. He looks weary. Being tossed into the air 4 times by a group of giddy footballers is enough on its own to sap the energy, but a stunning penalty shootout victory over Marseille following a 3-3 draw in a Europa League final for the ages probably has more to do with it. Wenger speaks warmly and with pride about the perfect end to his era at Arsenal. There is emotion, there are tears, but above all else there is happiness. Finally, the questions are over and the Frenchman lifts the trophy he has just won on home soil off the table as he departs. There is applause from those present. He heads back to the dressing room, where the celebrations are just getting started. After a carafe or two of a fine red, thoughts will turn to the open-top parade where Wenger will wave to his adoring public for the final time as they clamber for a decent view on the joyous streets of Islington. How will Wenger say au revoir? After Thursday night's semi-final second leg, which happens to be Wenger's 250th European game, there may well just be one of the two options above on the table. But there is more at stake than that. What is Wenger's continental legacy? While it has been a while, nobody can take away his domestic achievements. The Invincibles alone will stand the test of time, even if the FA Cup wins do not. Ask someone about Arsenal in Europe, however, and they will probably laugh, or make a gag about them being football's equivalent of Boris Johnson, can't get out quick enough. The images that spring to mind will no doubt be the most recent ones. Alexis Sanchez on his knees looking at his defense like they had just collectively broken wind in a lift during the second 5-1 thrashing in Munich. Perhaps another brave failure at the Emirates after the fatal damage had already been inflicted in the first leg. Or maybe visions from the 7 years in a row when they promptly made their exit at the last 16 stage, the thanks for coming round as it should have been known in North London. There are plenty. Few will remember the glory nights, and there have also been plenty of those too. In 2003, arguably at the height of their powers, Arsenal went to the San Siro to take on the still mighty Inter Milan. The Inter Milan that had won 3-0 at Highbury. The Inter Milan with a backline that featured Zanetti, Cannavaro and Materazzi. On a breathtaking night, with Thierry Henry majestic, the Gunners romped home 5-1. 3 years later, the Galacticos of Real Madrid were put in their place at the Bernabeu. Courtesy of a confident 1-0 victory, Arsenal became the first English side to see off Real in the Spanish capital. In the Champions League final of the same year they were unfortunate. From the kickoff, Wenger's men ripped into Barcelona in Paris. Henry somehow shot straight at Victor Valdez from close to the penalty spot when you would have put your mortgage, your life and your cat on him scoring. From the resulting corner, Henry was again denied by Valdez, who pulled off a brilliant save at his near post. Then Jens Lehmann got himself sent off. Regardless, Arsenal won a goal up through Sol Campbell. Mission impossible appeared to be on the cards until Henrik Larsson came off the bench. Back then, we wondered. 6 years previously, there had been the belief-defying penalty shootout defeat to Galatasaray in the UEFA Cup final on a rotten night of missed chances in Denmark. Were Arsenal cursed? We are still wondering. The trophy remains elusive. And so to the Wanda Metropolitano, where a defining moment can still be written. The image we are left with not yet taken, even if this is the second-tier tournament. To keep the dream alive, however, will take some doing. As we know, Arsenal have not taken a point on the road in 2018. If they could not do it at Newcastle, what are the chances in Madrid? Atletico have not conceded at home for 4 months. If Wenger can mastermind a triumph here, it could be his greatest European night yet. If he does not, you can scrap any thoughts of the Lion King headlines to send him packing. Brastoff in Yorkshire will be more likely.